right, we've had some troubling stories recently about our U.S. Military enterprises possibly being compromised by hackers. In one recent case, we have the U.S. Predator drone fleet, these unmanned spy planes and whatnot, having some kind of hack into them where these hackers could record their movements, and these drones are usually on secret missions where nobody's supposed to know where they are, and it's possible that people are finding out. And in addition to that, in Japan, several huge defense contractors over there have been hacked, and inside those computers they contained U.S. military secrets. So we can do what we can on our end to keep our companies safe, but our information is also sitting in computers in Japan and in the companies of some of our allies. So how dangerous is this? Joining us right now is the Chief Security Strategist for Treadstone 71, Jeff Bardin. Thank you for joining us, Jeff.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start with this drone hack. Explain exactly how that works and how dangerous this might be.
Well, they described it as a virus, but this looks like it's much more than a virus. It's actually a worm that spreads between different devices. They have tried to remove it, and it keeps reappearing, which means they have to completely wipe the hard drives clean of everything in order to get rid of this malware. The worm then also comes with a different payload. This payload is a keystroke logger and a Trojan. And keystroke loggers are made, of course, to collect your keystrokes and then send them back to a central collection server where they're analyzed by the perpetrators of that particular malware. So it's pretty interesting in that they possibly been able to track the different surveillance methods, modes, and operations and standard operating procedures of our Predator activities. So it's very concerning.
Yeah, because basically these things are operated by keystrokes. People are programming them by their computers remotely and telling them where to go. So if somebody is able to intercept that, like you said, they would be able to track our movements. But at this point, we should stress it's not known whether or not this information is in someone's hands who wants to use it against us, or if perhaps there isn't some U.S. entity that's trying to test the security of the system, or where this worm might have originated from.
That's true. Attribution of where malware comes from is actually extremely difficult to determine. On the other hand, I don't believe it's likely that the U.S. is doing this to test it without some sort of notification that it's actually occurring.
Right.
So I don't believe that is normally the case.
Yeah.
But these devices are controlled with a ground control system. Each one is usually self-contained. And most of the work is done with joysticks, and pilots that actually have done this in the past sit there and they operate off it. But the other piece here that is really concerning is that this is on both classified and non-classified systems, the same malware, which sounds like these hard drives that they take out every day and replace or supposed to clean up may be shared, or somehow the malware is making its way between these two different types of systems.
Very troubling and very difficult to get to the bottom of. And the other issue that we mentioned in the lead is Japan's defense contractors being hacked, and their computers contain very sensitive U.S. information. What can the U.S. do to prevent this kind of thing, and how much damage might have been done by these recent hack attacks?
Well, there are international treaties out there, some of which have and have not been signed, and the other issue is whether you sign it or not is the actual enforcement thereof. The fact that Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, one of the major defense contractors in Japan that was targeted here, provides different military devices to us and equipment, then the contract should be able to specify that they have adequate information security measures in tow. DoD directives should stretch to our supply chain. This has been an issue with securing the supply chain, and if we don't enforce that, then we're going to suffer the consequences of it.
Yeah, so specifically, you mentioned Mitsubishi. They say that specifically its submarine, missile, and nuclear power plant component factories were the target, and that some information could have been stolen from that. So what are the potential implications of that?
Implications are that not only could the information be stolen from it, but potentially more malware could be injected into different plans, or it could be into the different software. There's a lot of different possibilities depending upon the depth and scope of this particular infection. What's really interesting about this, too, is they didn't discover this until after the installation of some security surveillance software, which means who knows for how many months or even years that they were infected, and data potentially could be exfiltrated out of this environment. They just don't know, which is disconcerting as well, but not unusual that you don't know what you've lost.
So in order to prevent this kind of thing going forward, you say that cybersecurity has to become one of the key focuses of future contracts with military defense contractors. How important would it be, like to say, look, we're not going to sell or buy whatever materials from you unless you sign this and comply with it?
It's absolutely critical that we do this. Everything has software underneath it nowadays in the military-industrial complex. Everything we run has a software background for the most part. So if we don't start enforcing this and becoming more strict with these policies and actually ensuring compliance in the supply chain, then these activities will continue. And somewhere down the road, at the most critical juncture when we're in a war somewhere, we'll find out the hard way.
All right, disturbing. All right, Jeff Bardin, the Chief Security Strategist for Treadstone 71, thank you so much for joining us.